So, you may think I'm here to talk about the cloud, right? But I'm here to talk to you about something even more important: your customer. Smartphone, the cloud, sensors are changing the way we live and we work. You know, you're renting your home via Airbnb, you're commuting via Uber. 20 years ago, companies started to scramble getting on the internet because customers were already controlling some information. 10 years later, social media enabled interactions among brands, and customers started to demand to be heard. They even call on CEOs on Twitter. Now, fast forward to today. Everything is becoming a lot more personal, a lot more interactive. Your Nest thermostat is controlling the climate in your home. You know, Tesla is improving the braking of your car over the air. So customers expect their desires to be met real time. They expect you to know what they want before they even know they want it, and they expect you to assist them all the way through. So we can say that technology has really raised dramatically the expectations that customers have. Customers expect to be loved today. Now, let me give you an example that is dear to my heart. This company is based in Silicon Valley, and their customers love its products. And they're using it almost every day. I guess you know who I'm talking about, right? It's my wife's pastry shop. Now, it's interesting because customers are really loyal. And it's kind of interesting to see that, you know, when customers are loyal and they love your products, they're handing over money to you. This is kind of cool, right? Now, I've been asking myself, why are customers so loyal to her? And the first thing I found is that it's because she loves them. She knows them by heart. She knows what they mean when they smile. She's changing, you know, the versions of the stuff that they like. Not just that, but she has a passion for the product. You know, whether it's butter imported from France or the new pastry that she's dreaming about and that customers were not even expecting. So great companies learn how to love their customer like a great baker in Palo Alto. Just the only difference, they're doing it 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times over, using technology. So the question is really for you, can you love your customer at scale? You can. I'd like to offer you a great example. Anyone in the room knows Gojek? No? It's a $1 billion startup in Indonesia. And it's one of our best Google Cloud stories. Now, Gojek's vision is life without limits. And if you know a little bit about traffic in Jakarta, you understand that they've assembled a fleet of on-demand scooters and a mobile app to deliver on their value proposition. And their customers are really loyal. Why? Well, you have to know that Gojek is processing 4 terabytes of daily data events so that they can really understand what their customers do and really understand what their customers want real time. And armed with that, they've been able to basically expand their service to 16 on-demand services pretty rapidly, from food delivery to payment services to even beauty services. And as they did this and the customers were delighted, of course what happened is demand started to explode. And as demand exploded, they had to scale. their fleet of scooters to 1 million drivers, training them 10,000 at a time in stadiums. That is loving your customer at scale. Now, as Nadim Nakarim, who is the CEO of Gojek, would tell you, what matters is not how much money you have. What matters is really how fast you innovate. And so what my wife's pastry shop and Gojek have in common, except the fact that my wife's pastry shop is not worth $1 billion, is that both of them love their customer very much. They care deeply about the customer. They care so much so that they've learned how to be their customers. Just that Gojek does it at scale. And so I know that many of you in this room, for sure, are focusing on understanding your customer. And you're digging into your data real time so that you can deliver nimble reactions to your customers and you can innovate your product and services. But what I'm talking about here is to go beyond this. So to win in the future, the premise I'm putting in front of you is that you cannot just understand your customer anymore. You cannot even just love your customer anymore. You have to be your customer. Now, what am I saying exactly here? Because a lot of companies understand their customers and are trying to address their needs in a traditional way. I'm not talking about this. I am talking about being your customer like a sports fan. Many of you have probably attended the World Cup. Sports fans dream about winning the World Cup with their teams. They know the team by name. They connect with each and every player. They're ready to give everything they have for their team. Are you doing this for your customer? In a way, being your customer is walking in the shoes of your customer. It is making sure that the distance between you and the customer has vanished. Let me give you 2 examples with Google. So we do have a process called dog fooding. Now, dog fooding means like everyone at Apple, every employee, can try a product that is going to be launched as if they were the customer. It's beyond beta testing. And every employee who is trying that product is trying to understand if that product is meeting their aspirations. And they're giving feedback. I can tell you, many times dog fooding can decide the fate of the products. Many products have been canceled after beta testing because dog fooding was not really good. That is being your customer. Now, let me give you another example on the enterprise side. How about cloud? We've been using the cloud for 20 years. Cloud is supporting 7 platforms of more than 1 billion active users each. Every innovation, every feature that you are using, we've used before. This is what I'm calling being your customer. Now, how are you your customer? What can you do? Well, we think that there's 4 things you can do to be your customer. And if you do this systematically, you'll probably be winning in the marketplace. So number 1, you have to dream with your customer. You have to figure out their aspirations, and you have to come up with products that will deliver on those aspirations. That's a tall order. Number 2, you need to connect with your customer real time and deeply. Number 3, you have to deliver magical experiences at speed. And number 4, you have to do it at scale. Now, if you do this continuously, I predict that your revenues will increase, your margin will expand, you'll achieve more customer stickiness. But more importantly, if you feed this flywheel, you'll increase the rate of your differentiation. And it will be very difficult for your competition to catch up. This is a very important point. Let me give you another example at Google, YouTube. At YouTube, we did exactly this. I remember cases, as I was on the ad side before, where a lot of features were not launched because customers just didn't want it. We felt it was great in terms of monetizing the platform, but it was not good for the end user, and they were not launched. Now, guess what? Today, YouTube is the #1 global TV in the world. So now you're going to ask me, OK, great, that's fantastic, PH. How do I do that? It's great, you're giving me some examples from Google, but is anyone doing this? In this room, many of you are doing it. Actually, many of the Google Cloud customers are adopting that approach, and I'd like to share a couple of examples with you. The best example that I have about dreaming about what your customers want is coming from Philips Lighting. You know, the folks who've invented Hue, who is the personal lighting system. And so what they did, they said that how about providing every customer the opportunity to pick and select the color of their light wherever they are, whenever they want it, the way they want it. Kind of interesting, right? Now, their platform is running 200 million transactions a day. And actually, the connection with their customers is running at even higher frequency. Now, that's a lot of data to crush compared to on and off. Wouldn't you agree? And so what Philips did, they said, OK, we have a bunch of engineers. We want them to focus on innovation. We're going to pick the managed services from Google, Google App Engine, Cloud SQL, and Cloud Data Store, so that our engineers can really focus their time on innovating our user experience, instead of spending their time ensuring the platforms light are staying on. So really, this is a case where dreaming is about giving bandwidth to your engineers so that they're spending time on innovating on your products versus worrying about the infrastructure. Now, you can dream about your customer. How about connecting now with them? Now, the question here is about, are you mining data out of your customer service center? Are you making sure that the systems you have give you information about what your customers do real time? Now, Spotify is great at that. Their engineers are essentially focused on figuring out which track you're skipping, where you go to get your service content, what music you want to listen to. And knowing all of this, they can enter the market beautifully engineered while all the time improving the user experience of their system. So you take Daily Mix, which is a feature that they came up with by putting together musicologists as well as ML engineers. And this feature allows you to predict the next song you want to listen to. So how did they do this magic? Well, basically, their engineers coupled together a massively scalable BigQuery database together with data flow, and they were able to connect directly to their customers' data. And with that, they were able to cut the end-to-end latency between a customer action and Spotify's reaction by a factor of 4. And if you know that Spotify is deploying into their environment 5,000 times a day, using Kubernetes and containerization, you get an idea at what speed they're operating when they're shipping those type of features like daily mix. So this is really an example of a company who's understood the value of connecting real time with their customer. Now, dreaming what your customer wants is great. Connecting with them is great. But what if you have a great idea and you're too slow to implement? So let's take HSBC, one of the largest global banks. For them, insight and automation is really important, especially at speed and scale for their operations. So in their case, what they've done, they've assembled a couple of Google products to extract insights from 100 petabytes of data and billions of transactions so that they can start running risk simulations on a daily basis and detect money laundering cases. And just doing this, the returns on their operations have been amazing, even before they start thinking about automating their customer service center or speeding up their time to market for their financial services. Now, another example of how speed was important to them revolves around monitoring liquidity, which is really important for a bank like HSBC, for every bank. Now, it took them about 6 days to really process all the data required to demonstrate that they were covering their capital obligations. By using BigQuery, they were able to get that down to 6 minutes. That's 1,400 times faster. Wouldn't anyone in this room like to go 1,400 times faster in their operations? So this is really what we're talking about, like the value of speed and scale in an operation. Now, we talked about dreaming what your customer wants and connecting with them and delivering magical experiences at speed and scale. But can you do this all together? That's the Holy Grail, right? Yes, you can. I want to talk to you about a company that's probably unknown from all of you, because I think it's really important you're realizing that this is not just for big companies or high-tech companies. And so this company is called Conrad Electronics. Anybody knows Conrad Electronics? Oh, OK. You must be from there, right? Or from Germany. But anyway, Conrad Electronics is a 95-year-old electronic retailer that's gone e-com very, very early and has expanded to become a B2C and B2B e-procurement platform. And so they started to think very early about an ambitious strategy to enable nimble connections everywhere in their business. And they were so serious about that, they even named someone to lead this project. And his name is Alice Drabek. And his title, by the way, is Chief Digital and Disruptive Officer. I kid you not, I'm not making that up. This is really true, CDDO. And so how did they do that? Well, first off, they thought about digitizing their entire workplace and retail stores. And so they've equipped their employees with G Suite so that they can communicate safely, securely together. And by doing this, they've created this connectivity into their environment that has given a lot of opportunities for their employees to gather customer insights and improve their customers' experience. And as they've done this and thought about, like, gee, maybe we can expand this notion of connections, they dreamed up a new service called Conrad Friend. And so what is it? Well, Conrad Friend is a crowdsourcing platform that allows tech-savvy people to connect with Conrad's customers through Google Cloud and Google Assistant so that they can provide services in terms of how customers can set up and configure Conrad's product. So they didn't stop there. They said, let's do more. Let's dream up more. And they came up with Conrad Connect, which is a great, amazing open platform on which they have millions of customers. And that platform actually allows 1,000 IoT products from 50 different brands to communicate together. And so they're managing 250 million data sets per week. Now, what they said is, hey, let's now use Google Managed Services so that we can deploy daily. And so they started to save 25% of their dev and test time. They decided then to put all their data into one place, one data lake, so that they can really understand what their customers want, and they can engage with them on our ad tech platform. And not only this, but they started to leverage AI, ML, Dialogflow, to make sure that they could really scale massively their service chats. And so Conrad is really an example of a company that did it, that did a 360-degree business transformation by dreaming what the customers wanted, by connecting with them, by making sure that they're delivering magical experiences at speed and scale. This can happen in your company. You're closer to it than you think. You can be your customer more effectively, more efficiently, and more securely with Google Cloud. And the interesting thing is actually that there's no downsides. You can increase your customer intimacy. You can really become more agile and more innovative. You can increase the rate of differentiation while lowering your costs. It is absolutely feasible. So now we talked about being your customer. We talked about having a framework. We talked about some examples. You're like here saying, great, PH, but how do I do that? I mean, how can you help? So I'd like to offer a very simple approach here. So let's assume that you're on your business transformation journey. And where you started is actually thinking about your customer and all those new use cases, right, that you want to come up with, which will be amazing, transformational. You know what kind of experience you want your customers to have. Where do you start? Well, first off, you start with your data, because you have a lot of data. And our recommendation is you put your data in the cloud. Why? Because this is the place where it is going to be the safest and where scaling will be easy. So you use PubSub, BigQuery, Google Cloud Storage to start setting up your data lake like Googlers would do. We can handle exabytes, no problem. And already here at this stage, you're getting some value, reliable backups, lower operational costs, lower managed database costs. But more importantly, you're laying the foundation for something more. The second step is really important. You're working on integration to use your data, either from third-party sources or streaming from existing tools. Why? Because data is the blood of your company. If your data doesn't move, you're dead. And so what you do is you start using our open data platform. For some of you, it's a secret. But if you use Dataflow, Data Prep, Data Lab, Data Studio, and you're making sure that with Cloud Composer, you're integrating everything, you're achieving something amazing. And this is where we can handle millions of transactions per second, no problem. And you're already achieving some value at that stage. You're getting more metrics, more reports, more intelligence about how your business is running. But more importantly, you're laying the foundation for something even bigger. And the interesting thing happens then. Layer 3. It's when you're starting to build dynamic applications that connect to the insights of your data through orchestrated microservices that enable continuous integration, continuous development, and continuous integration. Why? Because the Google development platform is faster. This is where you can get a lot more agile. Updates every year or every couple of times a year, come on. Updates every few seconds. We can do that. And at that stage, this is when your customers will feel the difference. This is where personalization kicks in through rich, powerful APIs. But you're more than that. You're not stopping there. The cherry on the cake is ML. If you're putting machine learning on top of an integrated data and application platform, you're getting amazing experiences, amazing insights. So leveraging TensorFlow, AutoML, our custom TPU hardware, you can really start injecting intelligence in the fabric of your customer relationship and optimize the interactions and the connections. So this is a rough hierarchy of what many of our customers and successful customers are doing. All what I've talked about today is possible. It's being done. And this can mean that you will be differentiated in the marketplace. You just need to make sure your company, not just you, your company wants to be their customer. And to be their customer, you want to make sure that you're dreaming about what your customer wants, you're connecting with them real time and deeply, and you're delivering magical experiences at speed and scale. Now, we're here to make sure that you're successful. We're here to make sure that you can get access to our powerful technology, our technical expertise, so that you can modernize your IT and you can deliver magical experience to your customers. Now, what I'd like you to do, there's only one thing I'd like you to do, is the following when you're going back to work. Try to draw a wish list of what your customers dream about, what your customers want. And with your team, pick one use case and go make it a reality. You know, I think you heard Astro Teller telling you you have to dream and 10x. This is the moment to get the best of the best and show that pretty quickly you can make these things a reality. Technology is amazing. You know, we can do today things that were crazy dreams a while ago. So we at Google can't wait. And I can't wait to help you achieve your dreams. Thank you.